It's midday. Good afternoon and welcome to News Today on Joy News here on Multi TV. My name is Kwabna Chenchen. Coming up in this property worth more than 800,000 Ghana cedis destroyed in a rainstorm in the Wa municipality. Police gun armed robber here in Accra. Now, workers of ADB call for a probe into activities of management following allegations of negligence and poor business practices. Also, I heard Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors call for a presidential probe into alleged petroleum corruption. The details of these and more in the next 60 minutes. My name is Kwabna Chenchen. In our very first story, there's our president's 800,000 Ghana cedis worth of property was destroyed in a rainstorm that hit the Wa municipality. About 100 houses were destroyed in the storm, rendering over 1,000 people homeless. Schools, churches and mosques were also not spared in the heavy downpour. Rafiq Salam, who joined us earlier on News Desk, said relief items are yet to reach the victims.
The victims they are still not able to recover from what happened when the rainstorm hit the area. Currently, I am at Chako.
Oh, we apologize for that soundbite there. We'll get back to that story. But now, President of the Central University College, Professor Janka, has accused government of turning the presidency into a safe haven for corrupt officials. Professor Janka made a claim at an IA forum on corruption this morning. My colleague, Kwachi Afeniama, reported from the forum live on News Desk.
One other speaker at this forum, Archbishop Palmer Bako, also talks about the issue of corruption and the fact that corruption must remain at the front hold of discussions, and that's his view of how we can deal with these problems. And he asked a question that made many people laugh, and the question was whether we have honest men at all in this country, and he thinks that it's difficult at this stage to find public officials who really in the job to serve the people. Most public officials go appointed, all they do is corrupt the system, enrich themselves, and no real effort on their side at serving the people, really.
I see. Any recommendations so far, or they're just accusing people?
Well, recommendations will be issued at the end of this forum. Of course, there are a number of high-level personalities here from various. You have representatives from political parties. I've seen General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Esiedu-Nketia of the MPP as well. Kwabena Japan is here from the from academia. Professor Janka himself is delivering a keynote address. And in fact, one key point he has made so far, I'm sure we will bring in listeners more details of that. He says that the presidency currently seems to have become a safe haven for corrupt officials because over the past few years, since government took office, once again, a number of public officials who have been implicated in scandals, mainly at the presidency, nothing has happened to them, and the impression is firmed up that you have to be, once you are in public office, once you work at the presidency, you are implicated in any of these corruption scandals. Nothing is done about it. You can go scot-free.
So she sees the presidency as a safe haven for corrupt officials?
Certainly, Chanchahene, and he talks about the Maputo report. He mentions the fact that the World Cup and how the entire matter came up. I'm talking about the World Cup in Brazil recently, and how some state officials, government officials, the sport minister himself at the time was implicated in the whole mess, as many have described it. He was given another appointment at the presidency, and he thinks that this really fans out that point that it become a safe haven for corruption.
Well, the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors is calling for the establishment of a Presidential Commission of Inquiry to probe allegations of bribery and collusion between officials of BOST and the Chamber. Top officials at BOST have been accused of supporting the BDCs to rob the oil storage company of petroleum products. Now, speaking at a news briefing on Monday, Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, Senor Hosi, dismissed the allegations but said a probe must be instituted into the matter. Kwachi Afrenioma has more.
CEO of the bulk oil distribution company, a selectively leaked tape is being circulated to create an impression of allegations of bribery and corruption against him. Senor Hosi adds that the content of the tape has nothing to do with the ongoing controversy.
The selective voice recording being circulated was not in any way related to the BOST stock audit. There is no confession to the allegations associated and concocted in respect of the stock audit. There is none. The tape that's being circulated by WhatsApp and all that is a confidential recording of my testimony 3 years ago before a ministerial committee, the Agbenato Committee, set up to look into complaints lodged by petroleum service providers, which includes us, of extortion by some BOST officials in time past.
The BDCs are equally unhappy with the BOST MD's handling of the entire saga.
The actions of the managing director of BOST, as enumerated above, has totally crushed our confidence in his ability to ethically and fairly engage with the industry in his capacity as the managing director on issues pertaining to BDCs, BOST, as well as other players. The issues raised are very serious issues, and we humbly call on His Excellency the President and the Honorable Minister of Petroleum to kindly constitute an investigative committee to look into the issues of reconciliation and allegations of bribery, as well as the leakage of the confidential tape.
The Chamber is also questioning the content of an audit report by accounting firm Ernst & Young into its operations.
The Ernst & Young Group draft report itself contained quite some inaccuracies. Some findings represented in the report tend to question the thoroughness of the work done so far and the depth of the engagement with key officials whose institutional memory may be required to establish and understand the facts. A case in point is the assertion that one company, Eco Petroleum, a BDC, had overdrawn balances in August and September of 2011. It will interest you, of 2010 rather, it will interest you to know that Eco Petroleum only commenced operating from BOST in January 2011. How can a BDC yet to commence operations overdraw on stocks?
Senor Hosi says no official of the bulk oil distribution company was contacted before the report was put together. Officials of BOST have, however, declined comment on the matter immediately. Kwachi Afrenioma for Joy News.
Meanwhile, a board member of BOST, Kofi Adams, has told Joy News they never set out to malign anybody, but indicated there was the need to set the record straight to prevent the nation's purse from bleeding further.
To the best of our knowledge, the report is accurate. Ernst & Young is not a company that does shoddy job, not at all. We don't know them for that. I know this report will, the BDCs will not be too happy because people have been talking about the activities in the past. You hear workers in Tor demonstrating against BDCs, some workers in BOST also demonstrating. Anytime they have made this, you read their placards, they are saying something about BDC. No proper evidence has actually been adduced. But today, we are seeing these things come out. So they know very well that the country will in a way react in a certain way against them. And I can understand that this is some of the defense mechanisms that they are adopting. We are not out there to blackmail anybody, neither are we out there to cover anything, because the MD who has just taken over, Kwame Wadako, is doing so well to move the company from a loss-making company to a profit-making company. And the workers are very happy about activities going on there. The board is very, very supportive of activities to salvage a very important company. It's bleeding days back to the 2005, 2006, and thereabout. But we will stop it. The management and board is determined to stop it and make Bost a very profitable company.
Well, Deputy Petroleum Minister Benjamin Dagadu says the report received has been forwarded to the National Security for further investigations. He was speaking to my colleague, Evans Meza.
When the report was given to us last week, the first thing we did was to refer it to the National Security Coordinator, who then give it to the police, the CID, or IOCO, which one he feels more comfortable. So the case is now before them to investigate.
So what it is National Security is now in charge of looking into the claims of fraud.
Yes.
I see. And that then clears the air. You have the Ernst & Young report already at the ministry?
Yes, we had it last week.
Because I've heard the BDC say that there is no final document anywhere, and what is in existence that has been reported is a draft document. What you have is a final document?
That's what we have.
And I guess it was submitted to you by the Bost?
Yes.
Okay. In other words, there is an official document which contains all the allegations that we've heard last week against the BDCs.
We didn't see any implicating the BDCs aside.
I see.
Not that we are clear of. We saw the report is not accusing any BDC or any wrongdoing aside.
Instead, individuals.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so what do you make then of the BDC's claim today that any probe into this matter must involve or must also look at the conduct of the managing director of the Bost, because they believe he had also erred, in fact, doctored some aspects of the audit report in letters, etc. They produced some of them to back their claim. Is that something that the ministry is looking into also, as far as the national security is concerned?
No, we handed the report in its entirety to the National Security Coordinator.
In other words, if any issue had been raised in that report regarding the conduct of the Bost MD, you expect that should be probed also?
Yes.
To our earlier story, where 800,000 Ghana cedis worth of property has been destroyed in a rainstorm that hit the Wa municipality. About 100 houses were destroyed in the storm, rendering over 1,000 people homeless. Schools, churches, as well as mosques were also not spared by the heavy downpour. Rafiq Salam, who joined us earlier on News Desk, said relief items are yet to reach the victims.
The victims they are still not able to recover from what happened when the rainstorm hit the area. Currently, I am at Choko, not Accra, Choko residential area, which was a hardest hit area, and I have seen the people. They are still there, and then some of them are trying to reconstruct their houses, and so that's what is really currently ongoing here. And so we have seen a sea of carpenters and masons. They are right here, and they are helping them to reconstruct their houses. 2 people were the casualties. Choko here, they had their house, their entire roof collapsing on them, and they were rushed to the Wa Regional Hospital, treated, and then they are now discharged. They sustained multiple wounds of cut from the zinc or from the blocks that fell on them. but currently they are okay. But the other places, poultry farm, belonging to a poultry farm for one farmer, and then his loss is colossal because he lost about 80 guinea fowls, 1 turkey, 4 goats, and then also 450 poultry beds.
I see.
And so that's what he has lost through this storm.
Okay, Rafiq, you also mentioned that these people who are actually affected by this rainstorm have started putting up makeshift structures and all. Does that in any way suggest that NADMO has not been to the area to see these people?
They told me that NADMO was here yesterday, but the things that NADMO said they will give them, they have registered them. What they are going to give them basically is basics and then also mattresses or cups or whatever. For them, they think that that will not satisfy what they want at the moment, and so they think that they need better tents. They don't need that temporary replacement. So what they need money to reconstruct their houses. At the moment where I'm currently, there's a lady who is seated just by me, and the lady told me that they have put up a 3-bedroom house, and so the disaster that struck 2 of the rooms, and they are now living in the 3rd room. And so they have even fears of even leaving the place because maybe thieves could come around and break some of their items. And so they are, despite whatever that's happening, they are still starting to their guns, and they are still staying in those collapse structures. Not more, and then also the disaster management team led by the municipal chief executive was here. And then they are now even trying throwing their hands into despair because they are saying that the amount involved, 800,000 Ghana cedis, the World Municipal Assembly cannot afford it. And so they are appealing to external forces, benevolent organizations to really come to their aid.
Meanwhile, the municipal chief executive of the area, Isahaku Yakubu, has been quantifying the cost incurred and says it will take some time for victims to regain everything they've lost.
Serious to the extent that several houses were affected, several people were affected. Particularly over 100 houses were affected. That is houses that people are either living in or about to live in. Public facilities were also destroyed, like public toilets were ripped off, schools were also ripped off, and even our street lights were all pulled down and other things. And if we look at even the number of people who were also affected, over 1,000 people were affected, and the estimated cost that the technical people have just put together is that the cost will not be less than 800,000 Ghana cedis. But when you look at the magnitude of it, it tells you that the municipal assembly alone cannot do it, and that is why we are calling on other benevolent bodies, civil society organizers, to come to the aid of the people who are affected. The assembly certainly will go ahead to give some little relief by way of blanket, by way of food items, by way of water cans, that is plastic jars and other things, to the people. But that will not be enough. Some cannot be able to rebuild without any external support, and that's why we are calling on everybody to come in for us to see how best to assist these people, put some smiles back on their faces.
Now, safety is premium to most people in Ghana. For many, they don't mind paying the extra cost for that. The Ghana Police Service between January and February commissioned 185 new police stations that were built with support from private entities and residents. One of these new police stations is located at New Abuja, from where Derek Ekosam reports that residents there say every dime they spent in getting the police station running was worth it.
For 16 years, residents of Abuja had to deal with a major challenge: burglary. They lost properties worth millions of Ghana cedis within that period. To solve this, residents formed an association to be each other's keeper. But being each other's keeper was not enough to stop the incessant burglaries. Upon consultation with some security experts, residents concluded that police presence in the area might do the trick. For 4 years, residents contributed into a fund for the construction of what has become the only police station in the area.
Actually, it was very difficult for us because members at first didn't understand the rationale behind, but later on they all came on board, and then with our contributions, materially, financially, we were able to put up this police station. We also had help from the Abuja Municipal Assembly and a few other members of parliament, old members of parliament who are also members here.
Before the police station was built, tell me, what was the crime rate in the area?
Oh, it was very, very high. You know, this area was a new residential area, and a lot of squatters are here. And I remember even myself was attacked by armed robbers in 2008. And a few colleagues of ours also were attacked by armed robbers. So the crime was very high. So but actually that necessitated the putting up of this policing to actually get the security in this area beefed up.
The residents now feel safe, but still spend money on another key basic amenity, water. The road network in the area is also another source of worry for residents.
The roads are very, very bad, very, very. It's recently that the community will mobilize ourselves and went to the municipal assembly to ask for the grader. We fueled the grader and we motivated the driver, and we graded part of the roads. A bit, but we are still pleading if the government can come to our aid, or the urban roads.
Almost 17 years I've been living here, and we don't have water. You know, in Accra, it's easy to get pipe water to drink, but here we buy water, about 100 Ghana cedis for about 3 or 4 weeks. And we told the water company about 4 or 5 years ago, we went there, we did our best, we find a booster, and they came, they said they were going to help us so that we can get water. And up to now, there has been nothing like that.
Till a solution is found to these other challenges, residents of New Abuja may have to spend a little more than is required on water and servicing of their vehicles. For Joy News, this is Derek Ekosam.
Derek Ekosam from New Abuja there. At this point, we're taking a break. We'll be back shortly with some more news. Stay on. Thanks for staying on. Now, police in Accra have shot and killed a suspected armed robber. The deceased, whose identity is yet to be established, is believed to be an ex-convict. According to the police, the deceased and his accomplices opened fire upon seeing the police. The other 2 suspects, according to them, bolted from the scene with gunshot wounds. My colleague Latif Idris attended a press conference by the police on the shooting. He joins me in studio now with more. So, Latif, what did you gather from this press conference?
Yeah, you know, this whole thing happened last Friday when, according to the police, they had a tip-off from residents around East Legon and Spintex Road that an armed robbery incident was going on. So quickly they dispatched their men there, and when they got there, they realized that 3 men had actually snatched a taxi from one driver whose identity is also yet to be given. Upon seeing the police, these 3 robbers started firing at them. They also had no other option. They also started firing at the
fire.
Yeah, and this resulted in the death of one of them. 2 others sustained serious injuries and bolted the scene.
So where did this happen? Is it East Legon or Spintex, like you said?
In the neighborhood around East Legon and Spintex Road. They couldn't give out the specific location where it happened, but they said that it happened around Spintex and then East Legon.
I see. So now, one person was shot and he's actually been killed. Do we know the identity of this person?
They don't have the identity of this man yet. But what is interesting is that this one who is dead, actually, according to the police, is an ex-convict.
He's an ex-convict?
Yeah, he just was released from prison. So I asked Tete Yono whether or not, you know, he is one of the prisoners they don't want to see on the streets, whether he believes that this guy should still be behind bars. He said they are still carrying out their investigations, and once they conclude, they will put this in the public domain.
I see. And I understand you've been speaking to the police on other issues. What else have they been saying?
Yeah, I spoke to Tete Yono, who is the Greater Accra Regional Commander of the Ghana Police Service. He has been, you know, sharing some thoughts with us, about the whole incident.
Okay, all right. So, Latif Idris, thank you very much for that update. We will get back to that. But really, what did he really say? Let me get that before we go.
Yeah, they are still on the run. The other 2 who sustained gunshot injuries are on the run. And so the police are on the manhunt of a sort. They are still searching for them. They want the public to help them to get these 2 who have bolted.
As of now, does the police have any idea where these other two may be hiding?
According to the police, these guys may be around East Legon because that was where the incident took place. They don't expect them to get far because the injuries they sustained, according to police, were serious, and so they don't expect them to get far. So they want residents around East Legon to give them any tip of if they see anyone with gunshot wounds. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Latif Idris. Latif Idris is my colleague here at Joy News. Let's still stay on security. And police in Kaswa are investigating a fraud case in which a man is suspected to have defrauded dozens of people with a promise to get them enlisted into the Ghana Armed Forces. The suspect, Paul Kumaho, is alleged to have earned an estimated 130,000 cedis from the scam. One of the victims has been speaking to Joy News, Felix Ekoyam.
On Friday morning, around 10 a.m., at Obuasi, I was with my mom when my dad called and said, my mom should go and look for 3,000, that's 30 million. We are going to give it to one man called Mr. Paul. I brought 30 million to the man, but I don't know the amount that Adiza also brought to the man, but I guess it's 3,500, that's 35 million, that of Adiza. But what my dad and I brought to the man was 3,000.
Did you give this money in person to the man?
In person, at a place called Rollins Park.
Why were you giving this 3,000 cedis to Paul? What is his name again?
Mr. Paul Kumao.
Okay.
Paul Kumao, yes. We gave this 3,000 to him because he said he will fix me in the Ghana Armed Forces. He said the Armed Forces were taking only 500 people, and that 500 people, 200 have been shared.
So if I am getting you now, you're saying that this man took your money, yes, promised you that he was going to get you enlisted into Ghana Army.
Ghana Armed Forces.
In the end, he got you, a job with G4S, which is a security agency.
Yes, a security agency. So
so did you start working for G4S?
Yes, I worked for 2 months and I said, no, I can't do this work.
So now he's been arrested finally. What are you expecting?
Okay, now that he has been arrested, I am fighting for justice, and I want to alert the public that this thing is real. You see, when I completed SHS, I didn't know that it was even illegal to be enlisted by a senior soldier man, a senior military man. So how more a politician?
Let's talk election now. And the Director of Public Affairs of the Electoral Commission has revealed that all stakeholders have agreed on the ECA's upholding of the principle of no verification, no vote, but with exceptions. He also added that the committee's recommendation of November 7 as election date rather than December 7 is to make enough room for transitional teams to prepare and usher in new governments. He was speaking to Joy News on the recommendations made by the committee tasked to make proposals for the electoral reforms in Ghana.
The committee looked at the election date. There was a proposal that holding the general elections on 7th December leaves the nation with too short a period for transition arrangements to be effectively done, and especially where the elections go into runoff. It becomes very, very difficult and tight for new governments to organize themselves properly to take the reins of government. And so the committee was of the opinion that if the elections could be held earlier, so that we'll have at least about a month or more for transition arrangements to be made, that will be very good for the country.
One of the committee's recommendations is to give the EC the power to prosecute people who defy electoral rules on election day.
The committee also recommends that the Electoral Commission itself must be given power to prosecute those who violate the electoral rules. It is the opinion of the committee that the police have a number of cases, criminal cases, go before the police every day. And so they may not have time to attend fully to these electoral issues. But if the commission that
is charged with the responsibility of ensuring that the elections are conducted according to law, is given the mandate to prosecute, then we will see some more proactive prosecutions taking place.
But the General Secretary of the People's National Convention, Bernard Mona, says that will lead to a polarized system of justice delivery.
The issue of granting prosecution powers to the EC, I think that is an issue that we'll have to debate and to find out what informed the decision to want to give powers to the Electoral Commission to prosecute, because we think that it will vitiate justice, it will spread the wings of justice far too wide. Other institutions like Shraj, and many others will want to be given similar powers, and at the end of the day, it will be difficult the system to handle.
Among other things, the committee also recommended that the Electoral Commission reviews but not create additional constituencies before the coming elections. The committee also recommended the EC create special voting period for media practitioners.
Authorities and students of Sepetimpom have turned the cluster of schools in the community into a dump site for waste, including fecal matter. Authorities of the schools lament the activities of residents on the school compound is affecting performance of students. The authorities also fear a potential outbreak of an epidemic. Prince Apia has been following the story and joins us with further details. Prince Apia, so what is really the situation? Is it that there isn't any place of convenience in the area?
I would say that this situation is very surprising, because there are about 2 public toilet facilities in the area, and for the students, for the teachers, for even some of the residents, it's worrying the reason why some of them will decide to go and use the compound of the schools as a place of convenience. So that is it. There is places of convenience, 2 public toilets in the community.
I see. So these students, how are they able to learn?
So what is this is that anytime they come in the morning, what they do is that they combine with some of the teachers who help them clean up the compound. Sometimes they come and these feces are in the classroom, sometimes on the chairs of the teachers and of the students. Another issue is that because the school main gate is spoiled, most of the classroom doors are also spoiled, so it's easy access into them, and so that is how they manage to get into the classroom. So anytime they come in the morning, they have to combine with the teachers, juniors and then seniors will have to help out, clean the classroom, wash everywhere before lectures or teaching can go on. So they spend close to 2 or 3 hours doing this before teaching and learning can go on successfully. And the headmaster of the school is very worried about the situation. He tells me in an interview I had with him that the situation has pertained for a long time, and as a result, they spend less hours in the classroom. And he claimed that it has affected the BEC results over the years as a result of the situation.
Has the situation, this incident, has it been reported to authorities?
Yes, the headmaster tells me that he has reported this to the authorities. First, he spoke to the assemblyman of the community, and what happened was that the assemblyman employed security persons in the schools, in the compound where it houses these 4 schools, and the security persons supposedly has been working, but because it's only one person, you know that if someone is at the far end doing something, he wouldn't be able to see the person. So there is a security person. That is an intervention by the assembly, but that hasn't, yielded the needed result that the school wants. And as a result, the situation continues to occur.
Okay. Professor Pia, we would have to move on to other issues now. I'm told you're following a particular incident where students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology say they're not going to pay the utility bills being introduced by government. How true is that?
Yeah, it's no students of KNUST. Okay. Actually, it is a group of students comprising of students, the SRC president, and some delegation from University of Mines and Technology from Takwa, some from the Christian Service University, private and tertiary institution here in Kumasi, the KNUST itself, University of Education, Winneba, and the SRC president, and some delegation were also here. So it's a tertiary institution across board, and they call themselves Confederation of Tertiary Institutions and tertiary students in Ghana. What they are saying is that the decision by government to ensure, to force the students to pay utility bills, residential students to pay utility bills is uncalled for them. And previous governments have been able to, sustain this. They've been paying this for them. And why would this government decide to make students pay for them? They say that there were a lot of hardship in the country. Perhaps not them. They are not going to pay this school fees or the utility bills. It is their parents who are going to pay. And looking at what is happening now, a lot of parents are being, laid off, and adding up the utility bills to tertiary education is going to be a hell of a tax for their parents. So what they are saying is that government should rescind that position and allow the old, status quo to continue. Else, they are going to gather, combine, and pose a very strong demonstration in the coming days. They've given government up to Friday to respond to their call, and if it doesn't, then they are going to, act in a way that the government is going to be very much surprised. They are going to move to the Flagstaff out and demonstrate clearly this decision.
Okay, but these same students, through their leadership, of course, agree to this particular issue. So why the turnaround?
Yeah, that is another thing that came up. For them, the leadership who supposedly agreed to what government said did not consult the students' body. For them, the youth is being motivated politically, and as a result, their decisions have been compromised. So for them, they think that the youth did not speak directly of the views of tertiary students in the country. They spoke on political lines, and they disagree vehemently on that decision by youth. They think that they must rise up themselves because the leadership of the student front has broken down. So they must rise up themselves. That is the reason why they came together today to, organize a press conference to register their displeasure.
Prince Apia, thank you very much for that update. Prince Apia is my colleague with sister station Love FM in Kumasi. We're taking a break here. We'll be back with some more. Stay tuned. Good afternoon, Ghana, and welcome to the Midday Sports, proudly brought to you by Mixi Milk Powder. Let's begin with the news from the local scene. And former Black Star skipper Stephen Appiah says that a lot more quality players should be playing in the First Capital Plus Premier League if they are to attract the numbers to the sports stadium. He spoke to my colleague Ernest Sportman a couple of hours ago on what he makes of the game he saw between Accra Great Olympics and Accra Hearts of Oak.
At the stadium, I was really happy to see my friends, someone like Godwin Atram, Dankwe, and Richard Kingston. Yesterday, I was so proud of them. They played very well, and what baffles me was when I saw the crowd. I mean, that's the difference. You can't take it from certain players. They play to the highest level. They made their name, and the fans, even if they are whole, the fans want to see them. I remember when Brazilian Ronaldo was playing in Brazil. You can see his stomach, big stomach, but he was playing because he was pulling the crowd.
So the former players who currently do not have a club, that's a message from Stephen Appiah for you. Make your way to the First Capital Plus Premier League and let's get to see your football skills in action. Now, one player who made a return to the FCP a couple of seasons ago, like Kingston, is also desperate to make a return to the league.
Not retired yet, and I've started serious training since last month, so definitely you can see that the energy is there. Football is it's all about experience, and a little bit of stamina, then you can do it. I really love the game, and I still believe I can still come back and play good football. My return to Accra Suffolk was great. Fans were very happy to see me come back play for Hearts of Folk again. Such thing, I think it encourages supporters to come to the stadium because they would like to see an icon playing. As you see yesterday, you see the attendance at the Accra Sports Stadium yesterday was fantastic. Most of the fans came to watch Richard Olile, Kingston, Dankwe, and Godwin Atram, and I'm really happy that they showed their class yesterday.
And one man who was a big part of that occasion on Sunday, Olympic skipper Godwin Atram, is also looking forward to seeing the club do a lot better than they are doing in the FCP Premier League.
In the club, the boys, the same boys, but the team has been down. But right now you can see where the team is now. All because of our training and the motivation and the pushing that we are giving them whenever we are training. Sometimes the coaches, they give us a chance to train with them at times and also teach them the football as well. So you can see right now that Olympics team is far ahead of the other teams. You can see tactical discipline on the field when we are playing. We don't move just anyhow on the field. We don't pass the ball anyhow. You can see that the teaching is always good in football.
Well, that was former Black Stars midfielder Godwin Atram there. He was a big part of the occasion on Sunday. We're building up to the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in New Zealand next month, and Team Ghana, represented by the Black Satellites, are going to be there. The team have been preparing at the Accra Sports Stadium ahead of the competition next month. We caught up with head coach Salas Tete.
It is very, very important. It is very, very, I think we are very fortunate to get such a tournament, at least to see other players, how they adjust in the tournament. And remember, let me alert you that after the tournament, then we go into our main campaign. You see, so in the tournament, after we have identified our weak and strong points, then our preparatory period in the camp, then we try to streamline them, work towards it, develop it, then put it in order before. So I think we are in order.
The coach of the Black Satellites, Salas Tete. That's it for the Midday Sports, proudly brought to you by Mixi Milk Powder.
Now, before we go, patrons have cited convenience and speed as the major reason for patronizing mobile money. The mobile system allows for easy financial transactions, especially money transfers over the mobile phone. The business, according to some operators, is lucrative. Joy News' Gifty Andawapia has been interacting with the mobile money vendor who says he makes at least 1,000 Ghana cedis a month on each of the mobile money networks.
Reports indicate that the mobile money market is worth some 11.2 billion Ghana cedis. That's a lot of money. It means a 380% increase over the past 12 months. That's quite significant. And we're here at a vendor's place trying to understand this business and what it means for people who operate in this business. Well, I don't know the name of this shop, but the owner has a household name called Gosh. We're here to have an interaction with Gosh to find out what he makes of this report and what really it means for the entire mobile money business.
Looking at the rate at which it's moving very fast. From 2012, people weren't patronizing the product, but I think people have come to understand it, and this time they are really going very, very fast on it. Yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
We started it, actually. We started by piloting it, I think somewhere 2012. Yeah, we started in 2012, and with the MTN mobile money, and Tigo Cash also came in 2013, and we started with that one. But before, Airtel money was there, but it wasn't as it is now. People never understood it as it is now, but so far they are also picking up. Yeah.
But there are people who just do MTN money transfer, people who just do Airtel or Tigo, but you are doing everything. Do you make as much profit that should make such a report believable?
Oh yes, I make a very good profit. Yeah.
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 Can you give us an amount, a rough figure?
On each network, I make not anything less than 1,000 Ghana a month.
A month?
Yes, commission. That's the commission I make, not less than.
And that's your profits, just for you?
Yes, please. Yes, that's my profit. That's the commission I make, not less than 1,000 Ghana a month. I know people who are making more than me, because I know guys who are making 2,000 plus here.
So what's the way forward for this business?
That's a lot of money if you'd ask me, but that'll be it for this hour. My name is Kobna Chencheni. Before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. Property worth more than 800,000 Ghana cedis destroyed in Rainstorm in the Wa municipality. Also, police gunned down armed robber here in Accra. Workers of ADB call for a probe into activities of management following allegations of negligence and poor business practices. And the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors call for presidential probe into alleged petroleum corruption. That'll be it this hour. My name is Kobna Chencheni. For more news, do well to log on to myjournline.com. Have a good afternoon.